In 1909, the most recognizable structure in Paris was scheduled for demolition. The Eiffel Tower, a structure considered so temporary that its lease included a removal clause, Paris planned for its dismantling in 1909. For a structure now visited by 7 million people each year, it's almost unthinkable. Paris was just weeks away from losing its iron soul forever. How did the most hated building in France become its most beloved symbol, and what secret military purpose saved it from destruction? Paris, 1885. The City of Light stands at a crossroads. France is still recovering from a humiliating defeat in the Franco-Prussian War. National pride is wounded. The Republic, barely 15 years old, seeks to prove itself to the world. Other nations are building upward. America has its Washington Monument. Britain achieved wonders with the Crystal Palace. France needs something unprecedented for the upcoming 1889 World's Fair. Not just a building, but a statement. The French government announces a competition to create a monument showcasing French engineering prowess, a tower 300 meters tall, nearly twice the height of the tallest structure on Earth. Gustave Eiffel, already renowned for his iron bridges and viaducts, submits a design conceived initially by engineers in his firm. The concept is revolutionary, not a solid monument but a transparent lattice of iron, a structure defined by what wasn't there, its strength coming from mathematics rather than mass. Paris was scandalized. The city's artists and intellectuals erupted in outrage. A petition signed by 300 prominent Parisians condemned the proposed tower as a gigantic black factory chimney that would crush beloved landmarks beneath its audacious shadow. Gustave Eiffel was unmoved. "For my part, I believe the tower will possess its own beauty," he responded. "Are we to believe that because one is an engineer, one is not concerned with beauty?" The government approved Eiffel's design with the crucial stipulation: the tower would stand for only 20 years. After the 1909 exhibition, it would be dismantled and Paris would return to normal. No one could have predicted what would have happened next. January 28, 1887. Construction begins on the Champ de Mars. Gustave Eiffel approaches it like a giant mechanical puzzle, every piece designed and manufactured before a single worker arrives on the site. In workshops across Paris, thousands of individual pieces are forged with astonishing precision. Each beam, each bracket, each joint is machined to exacting tolerances. The tower will either fit perfectly or fail spectacularly. As the tower begins to rise, so do the risks. Workers balance on narrow iron beams hundreds of feet above the ground. No safety harness, no protective equipment beyond leather gloves. One misstep means certain death. Critics predict dozens will die, yet against all odds, only one worker loses his life during construction. The four legs rise independently at first, creating an unsettling, unbalanced appearance. Skeptics write that the asymmetrical skeleton looks ready to topple, but Eiffel's calculations are flawless. The legs converge exactly as planned, meeting at the first platform. When traditional methods prove too slow, Eiffel innovates. Enormous hydraulic jacks, the most powerful ever built, lift entire sections into place. Each day the tower rises higher, defying both gravity and its critics. The protest movement intensifies. Writer Guy de Maupassant reportedly eats lunch in the tower's restaurant every day because it's the one place in Paris where I can't see the thing. As the tower rises, a brilliant mathematical truth reveals itself. The elegant curve of each leg isn't merely decorative, it's precisely calculated to counteract wind forces. What appears to be artistic flourish is actually engineering necessity. On March 31st, 1889, just 26 months after breaking ground, Gustave Eiffel ascends the tower to raise a French flag at the summit. The tower is complete, ahead of schedule and under budget. Against all expectations, the public is captivated. 2 million visitors climb the tower during the exhibition. Even some former critics reluctantly acknowledge its strange beauty. But Eiffel knows something the celebrating crowds don't. The clock is already ticking. His tower has just 20 years left to live. As the 1889 World's Fair ends, the Eiffel Tower stands alone on the Champ de Mars. The celebration is over, the countdown to 1909 has begun. Initially, the tower was a financial success, but as the years pass, the novelty fades. By 1900, Paris hosts another World's Fair. The tower is no longer the star attraction. Attendance drops as maintenance costs climbed. City officials debated whether keeping the tower was even worth it. In city council chambers, officials dismissed the tower's fate. It has served its purpose, one councilman argues. It was never meant to be permanent. Engineers are consulted about dismantling costs. Officials debated whether the iron's scrap value justified demolition. By 1904, it's widely accepted that the tower will come down as scheduled. Parisians begin to take final photos, making final visits. Some are nostalgic, others count the days until the metal asparagus will no longer cast a shadow over their city. Gustave Eiffel, now in his 70s, refuses to accept defeat. He begins to transform his creation into something new, a laboratory for scientific research. Meteorological instruments appear on the tower's platforms. Wind tunnels are constructed. A radio antenna is mounted at the summit. Eiffel himself funds experiments in aerodynamics, meteorology, and radio transmission. But the city remains unconvinced. By 1907, officials debated final dismantling procedures, but no formal action was taken, yet the clock was ticking on Eiffel's legacy in the Parisian skyline. January 1909 arrives, the 20-year lease expires. Legal ownership of the tower transfers from Eiffel to the city of Paris. Work crews stand ready. Newspapers announce the tower's final months. But then, something unexpected happened. As Europe edges toward conflict, French military officials take interest in the tower, not for its height or view, but for something invisible emanating from its peak. Radio waves, the invisible force that will transform the Eiffel Tower from a tourist curiosity to a critical military asset. 1914. While politicians debate the tower's fate, Eiffel permits the military to install a small transmitter at the summit. Radio technology is in its infancy, but Eiffel recognizes its potential. August 1914, Germany invades Belgium. Britain declares war and France mobilizes. Europe spirals into the Great War. In the chaos of mobilization, the scheduled demolition for the Eiffel Tower is forgotten. As German forces advance toward Paris, the tower's height make it the perfect radio transmission platform. Signals from its antenna can reach across hundreds of miles, far beyond what any ground-based station can achieve. Within days, the French military establishes a permanent radio station in the tower. The structure that critics once called useless suddenly becomes the most important communications hub in France. In early September 1914, German forces push to within 30 miles of Paris. The city prepares for siege. The government relocates to Bordeaux, but for Eiffel Tower's radio room, operators make a critical discovery. They're picking up German military communications. September 6, 1914, by now the Eiffel Tower has become a crucial military radio hub. Its powerful transmitters allowed French forces to coordinate movements during the Battle of the Marne. General Gallieni mobilizes reserves, launching the counterattack that would stop the German advance. The German advance is halted, Paris is saved, and the Eiffel Tower, once scheduled for demolition, has played a crucial role in France's survival. As the war continues, the tower's military importance only grows. It becomes the primary link in the Allied communication network. The ornamental landmark transforms into a fortress. Its silhouette, once considered an eyesore, now stands as a symbol of French resistance. When the war ends in 1918, there is no more talk of demolition. The tower that was supposed to stand for only 20 years has proven its worth. The city extends Eiffel's concessions for another 70 years. Gustave Eiffel, vindicated at last, continues to maintain an office in the tower until his death in 1923. He lives long enough to see his temporary creation become permanently woven into Paris's identity. By 1960, the Eiffel Tower is so fundamentally Parisian that it seems to have always been there, yet maintaining the aging iron structure has become increasingly expensive. Complete repainting alone requires 60 tons of paint and takes over a year to complete. In a moment of audacious inspiration, Montreal's mayor, Jean Drapeau, proposes temporarily moving the Eiffel Tower to Canada for the 1967 World's Fair. More shocking still, some Parisian officials actually consider it. Engineers determine it's technically feasible. The tower, designed to be assembled from prefabricated parts, could theoretically be dismantled the same way. Montreal would gain a temporary landmark, Paris would receive a fully refurbished refurbished tower upon its return. The debate divides Paris until cultural authorities intervene, declaring the Eiffel Tower a historical monument of irreplaceable significance. It can be renovated, maintained, enhanced, but never relocated. The structure, once described as a useless and monstrous skeleton, had undergone a transformation more remarkable than its eye could ever experience. Not a physical change, but a metamorphosis in perception. By World War II, Hitler conquers Paris, but never ascends the tower. The conqueror of Europe would have to climb 1,710 steps to reach the summit. He never does. Even in defeat, the tower resists. As technology evolves, so does the tower's purpose. Television transmitters installed in the 1950s give it new utility. The structure rejected by artists becomes the means through which art and information reach millions. Today, the Eiffel Tower welcomes nearly 7 million visitors annually, more than any paid monument in the world. Each evening, 20,000 bulbs create a sparkling light show visible across Paris. The iron framework becomes a constellation against the night sky. The Eiffel Tower has transcended physical space to become an idea, shorthand for romance, for Paris, for France itself. It appears in over 100 films annually. Its silhouette adorns everything from luxury perfume to refrigerator magnets. No other structure is so instantly universally recognizable. The transformation of the Eiffel Tower mirrors Paris itself, a city that constantly reinvents while honoring its past. The structure that was meant to be dismantled now appears the most permanent element of the skyline. What defines Paris more than a landmark it almost destroyed? What represents human achievement better than a structure once dismissed as impossible, ugly, and unnecessary? For a monument designed to last just 20 years, the Eiffel Tower didn't just survive, it became eternal.